So we are looking at the hepatic portal system, or the hepatic circulation. So it simply means blood supply to the liver. And from this diagram, you would see that this is the aorta, and this aorta simply represents the abdominal aorta, or the descending abdominal aorta. And we said in a previous lecture that the descending abdominal aorta has paired branches and unpaired branches, and then the terminal branches. So under the unpaired branches, we said it has a celiac trunk,
Yes, sir.
the superior mesenteric artery, and the inferior mesenteric artery. And we had said that the celiac trunk will give supply to the stomach, the pancreas, and the spleen, and maybe a little part of the, and of course the liver. And then we said that the superior mesenteric artery will supply small intestine, and then the inferior mesenteric artery will supply the large intestine. Now, but today our focus is going to be on the liver. So here you see the liver. And in this diagram, you would see that there are about 3 blood vessels connected to this liver. And these blood vessels are the hepatic artery, the hepatic vein, and the hepatic portal vein, or what you call the portal vein. Now, the liver receives blood supply through the hepatic artery, which is coming from the celiac trunk, and the portal vein. And from here, you can see that this portal vein is coming from, is a combination of veins from the stomach, pancreas, spleen, and then veins from the small intestine, and veins from the large intestine. So veins from the stomach, pancreas, spleen, veins from the small intestine, and veins from the large intestine all come together to form this portal vein. The portal vein takes blood to the liver. So from what we see here, we see that more blood is coming from the portal vein to the liver than the hepatic artery. So the hepatic artery carries a lesser volume of blood to the liver when compared to the portal vein. So the major blood supply to this liver in terms of volume is the portal vein. But the only problem with this portal vein is that the blood is coming from these veins. So it means that this blood is not oxygenated. It is deoxygenated blood, because we said veins carry deoxygenated blood. So this portal vein will receive deoxygenated blood from this gastrointestinal organs and bring it to the liver. But this portal vein is rich in nutrients, because digested food is coming from the stomach, the intestine, and then the stomach and the intestine. And then from the large intestine, you also see some very small amount of nutrients all joining the portal vein to bring the blood to the liver. But this hepatic artery, because it's coming from the celiac trunk, which is coming from the abdominal aorta, then it is oxygenated blood coming to the liver. So two blood vessels bring blood to the liver. One is hepatic artery, carries a smaller volume of blood. And the second one is the portal vein, carrying a higher volume of blood, but with less amount of oxygen and high amount of nutrients, digested food products coming to the liver, and then some metabolic products that need to be metabolized in the liver all come through the portal vein. Now, this liver has to be drained. The blood has to be, because this liver, after using this the blood in the hepatic artery, the oxygenated blood from this liver, used blood, needs to go back to the systemic circulation. So that will be done by the hepatic vein. So the hepatic vein carries used blood from the liver to join the inferior vena cava. From this inferior vena cava, the blood will not go to the right atrium of the heart, from the right atrium to the right ventricle, from the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery, and gets to the from the pulmonary artery, it goes to the lungs to receive oxygen, and then the blood comes back into the heart through the left atrium, and then enter the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, it is pumped out through the aorta again, and that aorta now comes back here. So we have the thoracic aorta, then we'll have the abdominal aorta again with oxygenated blood coming back to the liver. So that's how the blood circulates. Now, so this whole system is what we call the hepatic portal system, or what you call the the hepatic circulation. Hepatic because of the word liver. Hepatic is from the word liver, hepatic from the liver, then portal from the portal vein. Okay, let's see. So what is hepatic circulation? So here we have another diagram here. In this other diagram, you will find that within the liver, there are capillaries, blood capillaries, and these blood capillaries are coming from the hepatic portal vein. Hepatic portal vein, or the portal vein, if you like. They bring blood containing nutrients, and this blood is coming from the digestive tract. So this blood is coming from, watch this. This blood is coming from the digestive tract. Excuse me. From the digestive tract, that is your small intestine, your stomach, your spleen, your pancreas,
superior
and inferior mesenteric artery. So this blood comes here, and in these organs, they form capillaries. So this is artery. When they come here, they form capillaries, and then they form venules, and then we'll have the hepatic portal vein. So this hepatic portal vein now enters the liver, bringing digested food products to the liver. And then here you see the hepatic artery coming from the going to the liver, coming from the celiac trunk, also going to the liver. This time around, it is taking oxygenated blood. And then once the liver finishes using the blood enters the hepatic vein, which now enters the inferior vena cava. And the inferior vena cava enters the right atrium, the right ventricle, and then, as we said before, goes to the lungs, takes oxygen, and then comes back. Good. So this is blood supply. Now, don't confuse hepatic vein and hepatic portal vein. Hepatic vein is carrying deoxygenated blood without digested food. So this is deoxygenated blood without oxygen and without nutrients. But hepatic portal vein is also carrying deoxygenated blood, but this time around, this blood contains digested food product because it's coming from stomach, intestine, where digestion has just taken place. Okay, let's see what we have here, hepatic circulation. The portal vein carries blood from most digestive system and presents to the liver. The portal vein breaks into smaller branches and sub-branches to supply the liver. From these small branches arise the hepatic sinusoid or capillaries, which do not collapse vein tributaries. So these are the capillaries, or what you call the hepatic sinusoid, which unite to form the central vein, which drains into the inferior vena cava. So all these capillaries will form a central vein, which now drains into the inferior vena cava. Another source of blood to the liver is the hepatic artery, which also breaks up into smaller branches and run with the branches of the portal vein. So another source of blood to the liver is the hepatic artery, which we said here, which also breaks up to form smaller branches, smaller arterioles branches, which run with the branches of the portal vein. So you see here, branches of the hepatic artery, and these are branches of the hepatic, of the portal vein, which form these capillaries here. Capillaries arise from these smaller branches and join the sinusoid. The portal vein brings all the nutrients absorbed from the guts or the digestive system, but it has poor oxygen contents. So the portal vein brings nutrient, rich in nutrient, but poor in oxygen. Whereas the blood in the hepatic artery is rich in oxygen, as we said earlier. Now you need to pay attention to this. The bile formed in the liver is drained by the bile ducts. So we have something that is called bile that is produced in the liver. So that bile formed in the liver is drained by the bile ducts, whose tributaries also run with the branches of the portal vein. So in another slide, you're going to see the bile ducts running alongside with the branches of the portal vein and the hepatic artery. So we'll have the hepatic artery, we'll have the portal vein, and what we call the bile duct. So three of them come together to form what we call Cortile Triad. So if you are asking an exam, what is Cortile Triad? You would say that Cortile Triad is a combination or represents branches of the portal vein, the hepatic artery, and the bile ducts. So the portal triad is made up of three things. One, portal vein carrying digested food, hepatic artery carrying oxygenated blood to the liver, and then the bile duct, which is taking bile from the liver to the gallbladder, where it will be stored and concentrated. So those three things make up what we call the portal triad. Portal triad, very important. That is an exam question. So remember it. Three things that make up the portal triad. Okay, so we have the hepatic portal system. In this diagram, you see let's start from number 1. This is the small intestine, absorbs products of digestion. And then number 2, we have the nutrient molecules travel in the hepatic portal vein to the liver. So all the nutrients from this small intestine, they travel in the hepatic portal vein going to the liver. So here, this is the liver. And then number 3, the liver monitors the blood contents. Now, the digested food products that are going to the liver include glucose, amino acid, and fatty acids. Why are they going to the liver? Why is the portal vein taking these food products to the liver? It is because the liver metabolizes these food products. The liver is going to convert that glucose that we got from digestion. That glucose will be converted, excess of it will be converted to glycogen in the liver, which we talked about when we started our physiology class. We talked about how glucose can be converted to glycogen in the liver. So the liver converts that glucose to glycogen to be stored. And then the amino acid also, some part of it is deaminated. So we deaminate protein, and then we will produce urea, uric acid, and ammonia, all done by the liver. So deamination of proteins will take place in the liver also. And then the lipid will also be, fatty acid will also be metabolized and stored until when it is needed. And we said that when your body is in a state of starvation and all your glucose has been broken down, all your glycogen has been broken down to glucose, and you still do not have enough glucose, your body now begins to break down your amino acids, that is the proteins, and your fats. And all of these metabolic processes take place in the liver. So the liver will only release the normal amount of glucose that is needed in the general circulation into the blood. That is why the blood came to, the nutrients came to the liver. So the liver needs to metabolize them and release only the required amount, while the rest is stored. And that is what the liver does. And then blood enters the general circulation by way of hepatic vein. So blood leaving the liver enters the general circulation through the hepatic vein. Okay. So here you will see the structure. So look at this liver, this beautiful diagram here. You will see the portal triad that we talked about. We had said that the portal triad is made up of the portal vein, the hepatic artery, and the hepatic duct. So here, look at this. Here you see the hepatic duct or the common bile duct here. Now, this common bile duct is running alongside with the portal vein. So you see the portal vein here, this purple colored one with the portal vein. And then also you have the hepatic artery, which is red. So a combination of portal vein, hepatic artery, and the common bile duct form what is called the portal triad. Portal triad. And if you look very well, you will notice that if you look at this part of the liver, you still see the three of them. You see branches of the portal vein, the hepatic artery, and then you see the hepatic duct. Here you see red, yellow, and purple. So that is showing you portal vein, hepatic artery, and hepatic duct. So we call that the portal triad. Now, if I take a section, if I cut, for example, a part of the liver, if I cut a part of the liver, any part of the liver, I will get a liver cell, which is called a hepatocyte. If I have a hepatocyte, one liver cell is called a hepatocyte. So this is like the histology of a hepatocyte when I cut a part of this liver. When I cut a part of this liver, I'm going to see the Cortile Triad. I'm going to see that each liver cell is like a hexagon, and we call it hepatic lobule. So this picture here represents what we call the hepatic lobule, representing a liver cell. The smallest thing I would find in a liver cell is called a hepatic lobule. So if I cut a liver cell, the smallest part of it is the hepatic lobule. And in that hepatic lobule, you will find that there is a hepatic duct, a hepatic artery, and a portal vein. So the liver lobule is represented with a hexagonal structure with 6 sides, so 6 edges, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each of these edges has a portal triad, a portal triad, a portal triad, a portal triad, a portal triad. And then in the middle of that liver lobule or hepatic lobule, you will see the central vein, which we said drains blood from the liver and then joins the hepatic vein to form, to drain into the inferior vena cava. So this is a liver lobule here. And at the edges of this liver lobule, you will find the portal triad. You'll find the portal triad. Okay, so let's look at it. Hepatic circulation. So we've talked about a lot of vessels. The main 3 vessels that we need to know are the portal vein, the hepatic artery, and the common hepatic bile ducts, common bile ducts. Together, these 3 make what is called the Cortile Triad. It is one of the structures that are very important to identify in surgery, and also is seen very commonly in the liver. When we look at smaller cuts of the organs, when we cut a smaller part of the liver, you will find the Cortile Triad. So if we were to focus on the smaller section of that liver cell, and we expand it, we blow it up, we get a better picture, which I showed you in the previous slide. So what we can see is that the liver itself is a giant fatty organ, and it's split up into smaller pieces or units that are called hepatic lobules. So the smaller units that make up the liver cell is called hepatic lobules. Now, and in the hepatic lobule, we have we have a whole bunch of our hepatocytes or single liver cells. So a hepatic lobule is made up of single liver cells that are hanging out, sitting around here. So you have single liver cells that are surrounding the hepatic lobule. Now, surrounding this hepatocyte is going to be a representation of our portal triad. So the hepatocyte, as I showed you in the previous slide, will have 6 sides, and each of these 6 sides has a portal triad around it. That includes a branch that was part of the portal vein, a branch that was part of the hepatic artery, and a branch that will come together to make the common hepatic duct, which is what we already explained. So those 3 that make up your portal triad. So your portal triad is made up of those 3. Now, this portal triad isn't found in just one part of the hepatic lobule. In fact, there's a bunch of them, and that surround the hepatocytes and make it a very familiar shape. So it's this six-sided ring that makes up the hepatic lobule. So hepatic lobule is made up of six-sided ring with different hepatocytes, and at the edge of this ring, you find the Cortile Triad, which is branches of the Cortile Vein, the Hepatic Artery, and the common bile ducts. So this diagram here, I think this is already, this is just showing systemic circulation that we already explained. Here you have your liver, here you have your intestines, this is the kidney, and blood coming from the kidney, blood coming from your trunk and your legs, all come to join the inferior vena cava. And then blood coming from the liver through the hepatic vein joins the inferior vena cava. Blood from the digestive tract comes through the hepatic portal vein or the portal vein and comes to the liver. And then, yeah, this is blood coming from the upper part of the body, enters the superior vena cava. Yeah, so we already talked about that before. Good. So the Cortile Triad or the liver lobule, hepatic lobule, had 6 units of the Cortile Triad surrounding the hepatocytes. And this is how we get nutrient-rich blood to enter into the hepatic lobule. So that way, these hepatocytes or these liver cells can extract nutrients for the metabolism or the storage of macromolecules. So this Cortile Triad is bringing nutrients into the hepatocytes. The portal vein is bringing nutrients. The hepatic artery is bringing oxygenated blood. And then you have the bile ducts that carries bile. Now, hepatocytes are just like any other cell in the body. So because they are just like any other cell in the body, they need oxygen to survive. And that is why oxygen will be carried in from the hepatic artery, the proper hepatic artery. So with that, this hepatic artery supplies the hepatocyte with oxygen. Then we'll supply the hepatocyte with nutrients from the branches of the portal vein, because these ones are carrying digested food. Now they are called sinusoid, as we said in the previous, they form capillaries that are called sinusoid. Sinusoid that come off the portal vein, and finally, after nutrients have been extracted, oxygen being extracted, and we need to send this blood, this deoxygenated blood, back into the hepatic vein. And all of the blood we collect at this very center. Now, we talked about the central vein in this slide. In this slide, you see the central vein here. So all the deoxygenated blood from the hepatocyte collect in the central vein. And then from that central vein, the central vein that sits in the very middle of the hepatic lobule will take our nutrient and oxygen poor blood. So this blood no longer contains nutrient, it no longer contains oxygen, and then coalesce into what we call the hepatic vein. And the hepatic vein now send that blood to the heart through the inferior vena cava, and then from the heart it goes to the lungs for oxygenation, and then they pass by the intestines to receive nutrients from the absorption process we talked about. So that is how the liver works. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, so this just explains the whole blood circulation into the liver, how blood enters the liver and how blood leaves the liver. So here you see arterial blood. This is your stomach and your intestine. So this blood is entering your stomach and your intestine. So this would represent your celiac trunk and your superior mesenteric and your inferior mesenteric artery. Okay, supplying the stomach and the intestine. And then once that blood has been used, and at the end of digestion also, the nutrients in the food, the digested product now enter the hepatic vein, the hepatic portal vein, and brings the nutrients to the liver, to this liver. And then this liver takes the nutrients, metabolizes them, and if there are any toxins, they are detoxified, and then they leave the used blood and everything that has been used, that's the oxygenated blood, now enters the hepatic vein, which goes to the inferior vena cava. So this diagram also again is just showing you the hepatic portal system. The hepatic portal system. Now, let's quickly do a recap of everything that we have said so far. So we have said that the hepatic circulation is made up of three main blood vessels, and the three blood vessels are the hepatic artery, the portal vein, and the hepatic veins. Hepatic artery, portal vein, hepatic veins. The portal veins are formed from the veins coming from the stomach, the pancreas, and the spleen, veins coming from the small intestine, and veins coming from the inferior mesenteric, coming from the large intestine. So all these veins join together to form the portal vein. So the portal vein carries a larger volume of blood to the liver, while the hepatic artery carries a smaller volume of blood to the liver. And once the liver is done using the blood, it enters the hepatic vein, which carries it to the inferior vena cava, and then from the inferior vena cava to the heart. And then it is taken to the lungs for oxygenation. And then we said that in addition to the portal vein and the hepatic artery, there is also what we call the bile duct, or the common bile duct, which runs alongside with the portal vein and the hepatic artery to form what is called the Cortile Triad. So triad means three. Yeah, so bile ducts, portal vein, and hepatic artery form the Cortile Triad. And then we went ahead to say that when we look at this liver, we'll see the common bile duct, we'll see the hepatic artery, and we'll see the portal vein all running together to form the Cortile Triad. And then we say that when we take a section, we cut a section of the liver, we would find what is called a liver lobule. And that liver lobule is made up of hepatocytes or liver cells. And those liver cells are arranged, this lobule, this hepatic lobule is arranged in the form of a hexagon with each edge having a portal triad surrounding it. So this portal triad is the portal vein, hepatic duct, and hepatic artery. So what happens is that the hepatic artery is bringing blood into the liver, the hepatic vein, the portal vein is bringing blood into the liver, while the bile duct is carrying bile, from the liver to the small intestine. And then at the end, the hepatocytes use up that blood, and all the used deoxygenated blood collect in the central vein, which is in the middle of the hepatic lobule, and then this central vein then forms the hepatic vein, which is what you see here, this hepatic vein. And then this hepatic vein now goes to join the inferior vena cava, and that returns the blood to the heart. So basically, that is everything you need to know about hepatic circulation. Everything you need to know about hepatic circulation. So this is only hepatic circulation, just blood supply to the liver alone. Now, in another lecture, we would look at what we call the portocaval anastomosis. Portocaval anastomosis, and we'll see how blood from the portal circulation comes in contact with blood from the systemic circulation, because the inferior vena cava is part of the systemic circulation, whereas the portal vein is part of the portal circulation. So we are going to look at how that is done, and that is very important, the portocaval anastomosis. We'll look at it in a subsequent lecture.